Good morning, and welcome to Southminster Presbyterian Church. My name is Don Ludwig, the interim pastor here, and I'm glad you could join us this morning. 150 years ago, there was an uncivil civil war. Upon this country rests a scar. No matter how much rhetorical makeup we apply, the scar still remains. No matter how much we attempt to convince ourselves that we've moved past it, we've only moved past it in time. Now, hundreds of years after establishing a nation on colonial genocide and chattel slavery, people are waking up to the fact that we are still paying the price. Americans are largely ignorant when it comes to race and its impact on society. Most people have a perception of reality that is simply not based upon the facts. In fact, race will influence whether we survive our birth, where we are most likely to live, which schools we will attend, who our partners and friends will be, what careers we will have, how much money we will earn, how healthy we will be, and even how long we can expect to live. In Minneapolis, Minnesota, African Americans comprise 20% of the population, but 60% of those who are subjected to police shootings. These are the facts. It is harmful to your health to be Black in the United States. Being a Black woman sleeping in your bed in Louisville, Kentucky can get you killed. Jogging in Brunswick, Georgia while Black will get you killed. Bird watching or being a 12-year-old boy playing with his toy in the park scares the hell out of white people. Sleeping in a car while being Black is very suspicious and often is seen as deserving 911 calls. Being stopped for a broken taillight when you're Black means keep your hands where I can see them and don't you dare move. Any encounter with the police can get you killed. Any encounter, if you are Black. And it has been dangerous to be Black in the U.S. every day of every year since 1619. And every Black person and every person of color in this country knows this, lives by this every day. In 8 minutes and 46 seconds, George Perry Floyd Jr.'s life ended. The video was increasingly painful to watch. It seemed like a lifetime. But seeing the other officers standing there doing nothing was just as heart-wrenching. It is impossible to not recognize George Floyd's humanity in that moment and not to be compelled toward action. This is not acceptable, not in America, not anywhere. This is not how life should be. So why does it take something so egregious like a George Floyd murder or Breonna Taylor murder or the Ahmaud Arbery murder and the simultaneous outcry of public suffering for Americans to realize that Black people feel pain too, that Black people are human too, that Black lives matter too. Why? Why can't we see the problem of everyday profiling as something that needs to be transformed? Because it is the right thing to do for all people. And I ask, why has the church largely been silent and not seen this as a part of our crucial mission? Perhaps as a start, white people need to stop being so fragile, as Robin DiAngelo puts it. We need to start talking about race and realize that we cannot have a just society without it. We can no longer afford to be neutral. We can no longer be just, not racist. As Desmond Tutu once said, if you're neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. As Holocaust survivor Elie Wiesel once said, we must take a side. Neutrality always serves the oppressor, never the oppressed. As Americans, the time is now for us to take a hard stand. Black lives matter. Do you realize just how low of a bar that is? And yet, our current culture cannot even meet that standard. White supremacists use the mantra, all lives matter, as a way to divide us as a nation and make us think that this current movement is all about self-denial and self-focus and self-motivation. The fact is, when we declare Black Lives Matter, we are not only recognizing the gruesome history of Africans in America, but how it represents all of the injustice that is perpetuated on non-dominant racial groups and all those who experience discrimination in any form. For the first time in history, we are seeing Black and brown and white people from all over the world standing side by side, from London, England, to Perth, Australia, all of us rising against the brutality and discrimination toward people of color in these United States. We are in a watershed moment. Some have said, so why does it have to be Black Lives Matter? Well, let me answer that with a piece of our own history at Southminster. When we were champions for gay marriage for over a decade as a church, that did not mean that we didn't care or were not focused on other forms of oppression. At the time, fighting for gay marriage was simply our way to champion justice and equity for all. It is said, justice for one is justice for all. In fighting for racial justice, we are recognizing our role in creating, maintaining, and perpetuating a society that permanently places people of color as second-class citizens. Ibram, an American author and historian who teaches at American University, recently wrote a best-selling book entitled How to Be an Anti-Racist. I highly recommend it. It is a powerful read. In a subsequent article in The Atlantic, Kendi writes, Black Americans are constantly stepping into the souls of the dead because they know that it could have been them. They are them. Because they know it is dangerous to be African in America. Because racist Americans see Africans as dangerous. Kendi goes on to say that it is not enough to say that you are not racist. Have you ever heard somebody say, I am not racist, but let me tell you a joke? You know darn well that what they are about to say, whatever it is in fact racist. Being not racist is a cover. White supremacists say that they are not racist. Slave owners identified themselves as not being racist. And segregationists make the same argument. Even Donald Trump has said that he is the least racist person in the world. Now, you be the judge on that one. We cannot any longer hide behind the label of not being racist anymore. We must become anti-racist and boldly proclaim our indignation toward the inequities that we see both in plain sight and all of those that are hidden underneath the surface. One of the saddest images that literally made me weep a week ago, as I suspect you did too, was when our president cleared protesters in order to have a photo op of holding up a Bible in front of a historical church in Washington, D.C. Now, I know that pastors should not use their bully pulpit to engage in politics. But seriously, folks, this goes way beyond politics. How can we as Christians remain silent or remain neutral any longer? As people of faith, as people of conscience, we need more than to raise our Bible. We need to stop police brutality. We need more than to raise our Bible. We need policies that will treat everyone with equity and fairness. Period. We need more than to raise our Bible. We need a culture that changes. And in the church, we need to boldly proclaim that all lives matter only when Black lives matter. Now, let me make a small point here. Our current outrage is not about the police officer at the scene in Minneapolis. It is about our culture. Our culture that allows one officer with 18 complaints on his record to continue wearing his badge. Our cultures that would allow 2 police officers to put their knees on a man lying face down in handcuffs while a 4th officer looks on. And no one lifts a finger to help this man, even when he cries out his mother's name. The problem is the culture. Our culture needs to change. As people of faith, we have a role to play. Faith calls us to see our lives in the lives of the Floyd Georges, of the Breonna Taylors, and the Ahmaud Arbery's. Faith calls us to see our lives in our transgendered siblings when they are assaulted for being just who they are. Faith calls us to recognize immigrants who are in detention, sometimes without their children, could be us. Faith calls us to bear witness to those that we know and those that we do not know. Faith calls us to equity, to see that fairness and cosmic love for all is our primary mission to the world. I close with the words of the Black American novelist James Baldwin. Not everything that is faced can be changed, he says. But nothing can be changed until it is faced. It is time for us to face the truth as Americans and as people of faith. Let us not allow ourselves to be diverted by a small group of individuals who want to turn this tragedy into a violent confrontation, or by those who say that all lives matter, or by those who claim to be not racist, just trying to excuse their behavior and feed into our despair and denial. Let's not feed into that. The truth can set you free. Those are the words of Jesus, who was talking to a multitude on a hillside in Galilee. The truth can set you free. That truth may well be trouble for our souls at first. We will have to step into the souls of so many who have died because of the color of their skin. But as people of faith, we know no other way. We know that that is the truth. We know that whether black or brown, whether gay or transgendered, whether immigrant or indigenous, whether female or intersexual, whether disabled or impoverished, we know as people of faith, your life matters. And at Southminster Presbyterian Church in Beaverton, Oregon, our mission is to promote that message in all that we say and in all that we do. Amen.